Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by with the Season 4 update that's going out today for Black Ops 6 and Warzone. We obviously have a lot of changes coming with this season. We've covered the full patch notes for multiplayer zombies in Warzone in a video yesterday. If you haven't caught that yet, it'll be linked down in the description below or on screen at the end of the video. And one main takeaway with the patch notes that we got yesterday, specifically focusing on Warzone, is a drastic change the devs are making in the name of experimenting, essentially. I was actually involved in a call with the devs early yesterday morning just before the patch notes dropped, so I had a little bit of a heads up on this, and the reaction to it was certainly expected from my POV, and I think the POV of all the other creators that were in on this call, because we kind of had the same reaction when it first dropped. But Season 4 is making a very controversial change, and it's already kind of backfiring because the feedback has been overwhelmingly negative, which is not good considering the season just launched, right? So here's a section from the patch notes yesterday. As we were going through, they talk about all their new stuff coming, and then you get to the playlist option, and you can see they've got a pretty standard playlist update featuring Battle Royale, Resurgence, we got our Plunder stuff, we've got ranked play stuff, we've got Clash coming in as a new LTM, and we got Battle Royale Casual. And the main change with this playlist update is the fact that they've now gone through and added in Battle Royale Casual, which I want to stress right away is a good thing. Battle Royale Casual and the casual mode in general has really just skyrocketed since it was first added in with casual quads with Verdansk, right? And that's been a really popular mode, and players seem to really be enjoying that. It's much less stress-free than standard BR where skill-based matchmaking goes crazy, right? However, the drawback of this is that while adding in Battle Royale Casual Solos is awesome, what they've done is actually replaced normal Battle Royale Solos. So now Battle Royale, our core mode of Warzone, keep in mind, is limited to two modes, duos or quads, because ranked play trios exist and they don't want trios in standard pubs. And this is what has everyone up in arms. You either have to play against bots, which for, decent players, decent and above, so above average, good, great players, playing casual can kind of just be uninspiring, right? You drop 20, 30 kills in a game because you're killing so many bots, it doesn't really feel rewarding. On the flip side, if you don't want to play solo casual now, you either have to queue into Resurgence, you might be a little bit bored of Rebirth or whatever the case is, or you're left to play skill-based matchmaking simulator, right? Which is a very different experience from casual. There's no middle ground. So solo players in specific, which is a huge chunk of the community, are really left, in a rough spot here. And here's how they sort of talk about their change here. Since launching Battle Royale Casual, a blend of players and clearly identifiable bots, we've seen it become a considerably popular option with positive reception overall. Given its popularity, combined with our ongoing effort to keep playlist options focused and manageable, we're going to be experimenting replacing core Battle Royale solos with casual solos. While we understand the impact this will have for players who prefer core Battle Royale solos, it is a compromise we're comfortable with given the larger engagement with other playlist options. But again, that's forcing you to either find somebody to queue with to hop into duos, or even a squad to hop into quads, play other modes you're maybe not a fan of with Resurgence, or play the random LTMs, whether it's Clash or Plunder. Plunder's not really an LTM, but you get the point, right? It puts solo players in an awkward state. And like I said, the general reaction to this when the devs first told us in the actual dev call was a lot of, "You're doing what now?" The chat and the reactions, they were like, wait a second, we're taking out solos? We know how the community is going to react, right? And lo and behold, the community reacted exactly how we expected. There's a few different tweets I want to pull up here talking about the reactions and what this means for the game, because it does raise a few points from the various different perspectives I want to look at. Keep in mind as we do so, because I'm sure the devs are going to respond to this in some way or another in the coming days or weeks as we see more playlist updates and adjustments go out. If you want to stay up to date with everything going on in COD on a daily basis, no better place than right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. And if you enjoyed this video, despite the, a little bit concerning news that we've got here, a like rating is always seriously appreciated, as it does really help grow the channel. But Pro Westy initially quotes this talking about the change to Battle Royale Casual, saying, "This is quite literally the worst decision I've seen from Warzone." Now, the absolute worst, number one, up for interpretation. Maybe they've made some questionable decisions over the years. Removing solos, though, is absolutely crazy because they've done it in the past and the feedback has been overwhelmingly negative. Why not keep solos just like you have with quads and also have casual solos? Baffling decision. And this is what makes the least sense out of all of it. We've had Battle Royale casual quads since Verdansk launched. We've also had normal Battle Royale quads since Verdansk launched. Those coexisted just fine. We apparently have good player numbers based on what they've said and what the trends are that we've seen, throughout the course of Season 3's update and beyond. Although it's been a little bit more plateauing and stagnant in recent weeks because the game has been a little bit dry and stale, it's still good from Call of Duty's POV. So them going all in on the solos decision and saying we can't coexist solo normal and solo casual while it clearly worked for quads seems very bizarre considering the gameplay perspectives of quads versus solos. You need more people for quads versus solos to actually have that full team, right? Obviously. So just like Wesley says, a baffling decision. You then have Community giving their feedback. Regular Battle Royale, the most important mode in Warzone, as I alluded to earlier, the core game mode of the Warzone mode, now only has duos and quads. Can't play solos, you can't play trios. This is ridiculous and a terrible decision. If you want to play solo, you are forced to play solo casual with bots, which, like I said, a lot of players just don't find that enjoyable or they don't want to spend time there. And if you want to play trios, you got to play ranked play. And that's full of cheaters because there was no anti-cheat update with Season 4. Probably a rant that we've got to save for a different video later on down the road, but that front is obviously lacking. So you're really stuck between a rock and a hard place if you're just trying to play some normal Battle Royale right now. Now, Doug from Modern Warzone also brings an interesting perspective here, and I think it segues nicely into a different conversation that ties into this well, saying, I'm extremely interested to see what the actual percentage of players is who currently play Warzone solos compared to all the other modes. Only way I can think Raven would be comfortable removing regular solos is if player numbers were way too low to split with the casual playlist. So the reason that we have quads coexisting with Battle Royale Casual and then normal Battle Royale is because the player bases are so healthy that they don't really take away from each other. But the devs were concerned that the solo player base is already a little bit lower, so we're gonna do Battle Royale Casuals appealing to that lower player base, and they can't coexist somehow. That is a strange perspective considering later this season, we're going to see the biggest ranked play update in the history of Warzone when ranked is far less popular and far less populated than normal Battle Royale or casuals. With ranked play this season, at launch, we're gonna have Battle Royale ranked play, obviously, and then at the mid-season update, Resurgence ranked play is dropping, and once that happens, both ranked modes are going to coexist, providing players even more competitive ways to play and progress. So we're gonna have ranked Battle Royale and ranked Resurgence at the same time, modes that have a much smaller player base than normal Battle Royale and normal Warzone, right? That's going to be splitting and that's going to be taking away from each other. You're probably going to have significantly longer queue times in each of those modes because the people who want Resurgence ranked will be flocking over there, but that's not as big of an audience maybe as Battle Royale ranked players, and that's going to be split even more than it already is split off from the normal player base who don't care about ranked. So they're comfortable having the super, niche play style of ranked play with two different options, completely separate, but they can't have casual solos and normal solos at the same time. That to me is probably the most confusing aspect of this change because it's clearly obvious ranked play is less popular than the normal Battle Royale and normal Warzone. So why are we having two of those exist, but we can't have two solos? And then one last perspective I wanted to bring in here was Lucci's. He says, Warzone is going down the same path as Fortnite. The game has become unbelievably sweaty, and we know this has been a thing ongoing for years. As the game continues to grow older, the skill level of the players rises up as like the average because everyone's getting more and more familiar with the game. The only time that really ever dips is when a new integration happens and there's a drastic change in gameplay that requires a new learning curve. And instead of addressing the SBMM, making the game a little bit more friendly, a little bit less sweaty, and overall more enjoyable and viable for, a diversity of skill, their solution is to flood every normal mode with bots now. Soon the only way to guarantee real players will be ranked. Beginning of the end for me. Whether or not you want to consider this the beginning of the end for you personally, that's your 2 cents, your opinion, right? But they're right. They could address SBMM here, and the appeal of casuals would still be there for players who just don't want to have to worry about constantly running into good players. But if SBMM was slightly reduced, you have these players who are gonna maybe flock more towards casual, perhaps be a bit more open-minded to normal gameplay, right? SBMM is such an unforgiving thing in Call of Duty, especially if you're, an above average or better player, that oftentimes it feels like you're being punished for being good. So those players might go to casual because they just want a chance to be good and not have to worry about it, right? They don't want to have to constantly run into those other sweaty players, although they'll still run into them enough in casual because this is now a groupthink situation where other sweaty players are also going into it. Because if they're going into pubs, Well, now they're just playing ranked without any rewards because the SBMM is so crazy. There's no chance of running into maybe players that are worse than them consistently because they're all in casual anyways, right? I think casual as a concept is fantastic. It should be a thing because it gives players a chance to find some success that maybe wouldn't otherwise in normal gameplay because skill-based is so crazy at times, right? You do well for a couple of games and then you're instantly thrown into the blender for an hour, hour and a half, right? Casual doesn't feel like that necessarily. But taking away from the core game, as you can see, those were just a few perspectives. I could go through the hundreds of comments that I got in my patch note video yesterday, the hundreds of replies that Charlie Intel and the Call of Duty accounts have talking about the solos experience of people going, why are you taking this out? This was a controversial change. The devs knew it was going to be controversial because when they told us, it's almost like they expected the negative reaction and said, yeah, they're not going to like it. Doing it anyways. Really weird situation here, and I don't feel like they've done an adequate job explaining their thought process of why we can't have things coexist. I don't think that because we can add in something good in one area of casuals, it has to take away from other elements, especially core elements of the game. There should be a level of coexisting that exists. Coexisting, was that the right way to phrase that? I don't know. Count how many times I've said coexist in this video if you want a fun mini game for this, but that is going to wrap things up for this one. Strange decisions being made. I'm really curious to see the responses. The feedback's only going to get louder and louder as players who aren't socially online a ton log on, try and jump into some solos and realize, oh, I just have to play against bots and very few real players now. It's going to get louder and louder, I think, over the next few days. But like I said, that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that every single day you're in the know for all things going on in COD, this is the place to be. So feel free to hit that sub button. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll catch you later. Peace out.